Good morning, honorable members, and welcome again. Now we can start our journey. In my job would be in this session to give you a broad overview of the Secretariat, starting with. You can keep on taking the slides. Starting from what is the basis on which the Rajya Sabha Secretariat is functioning or comes into existence. You may note that Article 98 of the Constitution of India establishes that the House of Elders or the Council of States will have its own secretariat. So that is the legal basis. The same very article also talks about how the officials and the officers in the Rajya Sabha Secretariat relating to recruitment and conditions of service, how they are to be regulated. The rules have been framed in 1957 and amended from time to time with the last order coming in the year 2020. That prescribes the manner in which the recruitment will be done and what will be the conditions of service of all the people in the Secretariat. That is starting from Secretary General to the person who is down below. Everything is kind of codified and it conforms to the conditions which have been prescribed. What is basically the role of the Secretariat? Secretariat is mandated to provide support for the conduct of business in the Rajya Sabha and also the committees. As by now you would have realized that the core function is on the floor of the House and a supplemental function is performed by the committees, and the Secretariat is supposed to provide support for both the services, that is inside the House as well as in the committees. The Secretariat is also mandated to provide support services to the honorable members in the discharge of their functions, right from what goes on in the House or even in the committees and even otherwise, so far as their salary, allowances, amenities, anything relating to the issue of how they can perform their functions properly, efficiently and effectively. We are there to support all the honorable members. Broadly, it would be interesting to see that the Secretariat is a fairly large structure, starting at the top with me being the Secretary General. Then we have a post of Secretary which presently is vacant. We have two positions of additional secretaries and multiple joint secretaries. Basically, the joint secretaries are the fulcrum on which the entire Secretariat functions and operates. Just to give you just the nomenclature, a slight idea of what the different sections which are headed by the joint secretaries are concerned. We have a joint secretary legislation who also functions as the chief vigilance officer. Then we have a joint secretary who is in charge of the question branch and he is also the chief security officer. Then we have a joint secretary who is in charge of the organization and management, basically the processes by which the entire individual sections and divisions function. Then we have a joint secretary who is in charge of Committee on Subordinate Legislation, and he also undertakes the function of an appellate authority so far as the RTI applications are concerned. We have a joint secretary for conference and protocol work also, the international conferences, the domestic conferences, and all issues relating to protocol. Then we have a very important joint secretary, that is training. The person who has organized this orientation program, it's basically his mandate, and all other training for the officers and staff are also being conducted by him. We have a joint secretary who is in charge of the finance division, and he is the financial advisor to the secretariat and looks after the budgeting and the expenditure of the secretariat. We have a joint secretary for legislative research also. Basically, the members can seek help from him if they want a particular area to be researched and some inputs provided to them. We have a joint secretary interpretation because the many a times say the members may like to speak in their mother tongue, and simultaneous interpretation has to be provided. That is looked after by a separate division. We have a joint secretary for editorial and translation matters also, because the debates and the business of the house, the proceedings, the synopsis of the day's proceedings, all are prepared with the help of the editorial and translation team. And joint secretary Lafia, this is a service, I'll deal with it in a short while. Overall, if we see, a fairly good strength of officers are there, in the sense that the details are there. Like Group A has about 528 officers and staff. Group B would have about 716. Group C would have about 490. In all, about 1734 employees are there in the secretariat. And in addition to that, we have tenure posts, like with the office of the Honorable Chairman and Deputy Chairman and others who serve for a particular period. These are the tenure posts. So in all, we have about 1800 plus people to serve the honorable members and to serve the house. It's a big paraphernalia of officers and staff. Now I will deal with certain sections which would be of use to the honorable members in their day-to-day activities, and which would be of their prime concern. As you see the PowerPoint presentation, this particular slide, you have a table office, which is the so-called nerve center of the functioning of the house. It prepares the list of business, the parliamentary bulletins which the honorable members receive. And as you would have by now noticed in the day-to-day business, that we start with obituary references, then certain references and observations are made by the chair. Oath and affirmation also takes place. Matters pertaining to election or nomination of members to the various boards and institutions prescribed under various acts. You would have perhaps heard me speaking about that the Rajya Sabha wishes to nominate one of the members and elections take place to that. Then before the house meets, we have a business advisory committee meeting wherein the party leaders meet together and decide on the time to be allocated to each item of business which would be taken up in the house sessions, in the sittings. So all this work is being done by the table office. So should you have any query relating to that, you know whom to approach and where to approach. On the last column, I have given the room numbers. The the abbreviations are there, but PH, say for example, would stand for Parliament House alone. Then we have a notice office. It's a area, or it's a single window reception office which receives all papers and matters notices from the members of Parliament. It also issues the gallery passes, which of course at present we are not issuing for the reason that we are following the COVID protocol, and due to spacing requirements we have to make the galleries also as a part of the house, and consequently we are not able to issue the passes for the visitors. But in the normal circumstances, it is the notice office which issues the gallery passes, parking labels for the vehicles, issuance of identity cards for the ex-members of Parliament or their spouses. This work is being done by the notice office, and it is also operational from room number 26 in the Parliament House itself. Then you have the lobby office. As you would have observed that there are inner lobby and outer lobby, but where the attendance registers for the honorable members are kept for recording their presence. And it also looks after the leave of absence of the honorable members, the upkeep of Rajya Sabha chamber, and it is being managed by the chamber attendants. It has its office in room number 121A of the Parliament House. Since, as you would have noticed, that all these offices are very crucial to the functioning of the House when it is sitting. So they are primarily housed in the Parliament House itself, and not in the Annexi building like this one or the Extension building, where other offices are there. Then you have the bill office, which looks after the all work relating to the government and the private members' bills. They kind of arrange the or vet the bills submitted by the members, which are taken up on Fridays. They also kind of look after the government business in terms of the legislation which the government proposes. Then you have the legislative section, which is the basic job of this section is to issue summons in respect of the sittings of the House, the sessions which are conducted, and at the end of it, when it is prorogued to be met again at the next session, that job of summons and prorogation is done by this section. They also look after the presidential address, which takes place normally at the beginning of the budget session. The receipt of and processing of notices of your calling attention, short duration, 0 hour or matters raised with the permission of the chair, special mentions, resolutions, all those are examined by this section, and it is normally seen that whether they conform to the rules and procedure of the House or not, and in case any amendment has to be made, they do suggest those amendments, and also decide on the admissibility, whether it is admissible as per rules and procedure or not. They also provide assistance to Committee on Rules and Committee on Privileges. We will talk about this in the next couple of slides. Another important section, and perhaps a very vital section, is the members' service in terms of salary and allowances. We have a separate division for that. They look after the payment of salary, the processing of the traveling allowance and dearness allowance bills, medical claims, settlement of telephones, bills, water bills, electricity, computers, and other miscellaneous bills of the members. This is exclusively dealt by this section of members' salary and allowances branch, as we call it. And next to that, we have a members' amenities section also, which is distinct from the members' salaries and allowances branch. We, in short, call it MSA branch and MA branch. So this MA branch, that is members' amenities section, provides secretarial assistance to the house committees and other incidentals like accommodation, telephones, mobile, internet, medical facilities which are being provided to the members. Then we have, as I mentioned, the conference and protocol section who deal with the arrangement of diplomatic passports, visa notes, political clearances for members on their private visits, and as I mentioned earlier, they also look after the international conferences and the domestic ones also, and whatever assistance is required by the honorable members while attending these conferences is being provided by this conference and protocol section. We have a section dealing with the stenographer's pool, that is providing secretarial assistance to the members for their parliamentary related session work. In case any member requires, he can be in touch with the stenographer's pool. Another important section we have is the IT section, that is the information technology section. All of you would be aware that you are entitled to have certain equipments, computer equipments, the provision of that, the processing of claims relating thereto, and in case of any further assistance on the digital part of the service is required, then the IT section is the one where these will be available under one roof. A very important section again is the questions branch. The honorable members would know that they are entitled to ask questions in the parliament from the government, which are basically in the nature of being starred and unstarred questions. So the receipt and processing of all such notices on questions are being dealt with by this branch. Earlier we used to have a manual balloting for the questions, but now that we have the benefit of technology, we have moved away from the manual system to a computerized section. And as a matter of fact, the notices are also received in electronic form, and the processing thereof also is done electronically. This is to ensure more transparency and more efficient way of dealing with the questions. We have a distribution branch which is primarily responsible for the dispatch of the parliamentary papers and other communication to the members, which you will be receiving in the print form, but gradually we are trying to ensure that all such communication is being received by the members on their portal. These are the other administrative sections within the secretariat which normally would not have much of an impact on the members, but nevertheless, just a run through on the administrative sections. We have a personnel section for the employees and officers, the establishment general section, the vigilance section, the recruitment cell, the reservation cell to ensure that the reservation policy is being followed. Welfare section again deals with the welfare of the officers and the staff, and the business processes are being handled by the O&M section. For the finance and establishment part of it, we have an establishment account section which deals with the budget, and we have a pay and accounts office also which deals both with accounts and audit. and there is a general administration section for dealing with the other needs of the secretariat employees, and stores section which kind of take cares of the storage, inventory control of the consumables. The supporting sections are also mentioned, like IT sections, which is dealing with the hardware. HNS is hardware and software, and training cell is there. A very important section is the sales and archive section. Perhaps the members would like to know that we have some souvenir items available in the presence of both the Annexi building and in the main Parliament House, where certain souvenir items are there, which if the honorable members would like to have, they can visit. There is one booth outside this committee room, and in fact I would invite the members to give suggestions also in case they wish this would be a good souvenir item. We can think of having that also in our collection. This is for distribution to your people in the constituency, your friends, relatives, whatever. Next. Broadly, whatever I have said so far is being handled by different services. It's not that it's a common service. We have different services because the recruitment rules and the conditions are different for different services. We have the major service which we have is the Legislative, Financial, Executive and Administrative Service, or shortly known as LAFIA service. Then we have a library, reference, research, documentation and information service, that is LARDIS. It basically caters to the research work which is needed by the Secretariat and the members. Then we have a verbatim reporting service, VRS. It does the work of translating or bringing on record the whatever is spoken on the floor of the house. And when we have people or the members speaking in regional languages, we have this simultaneous interpretation service also. And whatever gets published out of these is looked after by the editorial and translation service. And once it is finalized by them, then the printing and publication service deals with the printing of the various papers of the Secretariat and the House and the other publications which the Secretariat brings out. And I would urge that a list of these publications is also available on the website of the Secretariat, and members may like to refer to that, and in case they have a some of it may have been given to you as a material along with today's training program, but there are other publications also which one may like to go through. And importantly, we have also a Parliament security service. You would see that at the entrance, at the reception, people are there to maintain the security of the parliamentary precincts. That is a common service between the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. And we have this drivers and dispatch rider service, as I said, at distribution branch, where papers have to be circulated to the members. Then we make use of this service, and messenger service is a part of that only. A very important area of working is Parliament, no doubt, is the main core activity. But then, as the Honorable Chairman mentioned, that the committees are an integral part of the functioning of the Parliament, and they kind of supplement the role of what goes on in the House. There are different committees. They are broadly could be divided in the categories like the department related parliamentary standing committees, then in-house committees, some ad hoc committees are there. A broad overview I have tried to give you on this, that the business advisory committee is what looks after the business of the house, or the when the sessions take place, what business has to be carried on. Committee on rules is there, then committee of privileges in case of any matters concerning the breach of privilege of the honorable members. This is the committee which deals with it. We have a general purposes committee which kind of deals with the rules and procedure of the house, and any changes to be brought in are to be considered by this committee. An important committee which all honorable members would be aware of is the MP LADS, or the local area development scheme. This is being chaired by the honorable deputy chairman. The deliberations of this committee looks after the work relating to the local area development fund, and there are other house committees like committee on subordinate legislations, committee on petitions, government assurances, papers laid on table, and committee on ethics. A very detailed presentation would be made to you separately on these committees. This is just trying to give you a broad overview of what all committees are there. Important to note that there are in all 24 department related parliamentary committees, and some of which are serviced by the Lok Sabha primarily, and the others are serviced by Rajya Sabha. Out of these 24, 8 are being serviced by Rajya Sabha, and the rest are being serviced by the Lok Sabha. What we have is commerce, health, family welfare, home affairs, education, women, children and youth affairs, youth and sports, committee on industries, committee on personal public grievances, law and justice, then committee on science and technology, environment, forests and climate change, and another committee is transport, tourism and culture. These are all committees serviced by the Rajya Sabha. And it is the committee coordination section which coordinates with the committee sections and the committee serviced by the two houses. Next. This is an overview of the other 16 which are being serviced by the Lok Sabha. It's that basically the chairman of these committees would be from the Lok Sabha, and the committee serviced by the Rajya Sabha would be chaired by members of the Rajya Sabha. But members are there common in both, from the Lok Sabha as well as the Rajya Sabha on all these committees. Next. These are some more committees. I've just listed them for your benefit, but more on committees in a special lecture which will follow. Before I kind of conclude, I would want members to know that in the Rajya Sabha Secretariat, we have tried to move away from the manual system to digital manner in as much as possible, and we are continuing to do that. An important website where you can have a whole lot of information about the Secretariat, about the publications, about whatever is there in the Secretariat is this first bullet point, which says rajyasabha.nic.in, and it is the basic gateway where you will have different icons, and we have tried to refurbish this website, try to make it more user friendly, and My request to the honorable members would be that do visit this site off and on, and in case any suggestions are there, how it could be made more user friendly, they would be welcome to provide these suggestions, and we will take note of it and see to it that they get implemented. The notices, etc., all are given through these. Members portal is there, and from there you can send the e-notices. I think that would be all. Here it is just trying to give you an overview that we have on the left hand side the existing parliament building. We have next to it the library building. Then there is another Parliament House annexee and annexee's extension. So you see, as the need has been there, we have kept on adding space to the Parliament premises, and finally to have a new Parliament building, which I am sure will soon be operational, and more of the various facilities where they are located have been provided in the next couple of slides. I'm not really going through that because they are just general information, and in any case this would be provided to you in a pen drive. That is all. Thank you very much, and in case any members would like to have any clarification or questions, I'm here to answer those.